comments like the ones we recently saw from Mr. Murdoch. And comments like the ones we saw from Congressman Aiken. Spreading false information and lies about women's own bodies. About saying that somehow magically a woman who's a victim of sexual assault would not get pregnant from that. And therefore she has no need to have access to the safe, legal abortion care that she needs. And then more recently, Mr. Murdoch saying that if she does become pregnant, that was God's intent. But you know what? It's beyond the comments. Because the comments, fine, have your different beliefs, as offensive and inaccurate as they may be. But whatever I have a concern is when they are trying to go to Washington to legislate those beliefs onto our bodies. And that's why this election is so important. Because as all year long, we have been making our voices heard. We've been making sure to stand up and to not be silenced on these issues that matter so much to us. But the most important time for us to make our voice heard is coming up in, 11 days? November 6th? That's the moment when we have to speak loudly and clearly and strongly and say that we vote, we stand with leaders who stand with women. Those are leaders like President Obama, who has stood with women for 4 years now, who fought for the Affordable Care Act to make sure that we all have affordable access to the contraception that we need, to the breast cancer screenings that we need, to the domestic violence screenings that we need, and who has, along with the Senate and our champions in the House, have stood firm against the extreme policies that we've seen from the Republican leadership. I mean, some of it is really just amazing and shocking, frankly, the things that have actually been put forward by this House. I didn't think that we would see a day when there was a bill in the House of Representatives to allow women to die in emergency rooms. A bill that if a woman needs an abortion to save her life, a hospital could deny her that life-saving care. But not only did we see that bill, we saw it co-sponsored by Vice Presidential nominee Mr. Ryan. And we saw it voted for by Mr. Bilbray here in San Diego. It passed the House. This is not the type of leadership that women in this country deserve. We deserve better. We deserve better than a House of Representatives who thinks that their job on day one, their #1 priority, should be to defund Planned Parenthood. I thought there were more important priorities in this country over the last 2 years than taking away women's access to breast cancer screenings and cervical cancer screenings. Because that's what we're talking about. Abortion hasn't been funded by the federal government in decades, unless it's a case of rape, incest, or the life of a woman. This is about taking away essential preventive health care from millions of women in this country. And that's not what I'm looking for my elected officials to stand for. And another shocking, just shocking piece of legislation that we saw this year, drawing distinctions between which survivors of rape should have access to the health care that they need. You know, it's shocking enough to almost silence you, right? You sort of stand there aghast. But then we have to take that shock, that dismay, and turn it into power. We have to make sure our voices are going to be heard this November 6th and that we're not going to stand for this type of extreme legislation one more day. But this election is not only important for us making sure that we're sending a clear signal about what we're looking for, it's important because we have to say that we won't tolerate this type of legislation anymore. Because if we don't show up to vote, if we don't bring each and every family member to vote with us, if we don't do everything we can by November 6th, then we will have said that all of that extreme legislation was okay. That was okay in our country, that was okay to do to our friends, our mothers, our sisters, the women we care about. And that is not the message we're going to send this November 6th. So we have to know each and every detail of which of our legislators voted for those incredible and offensive and dangerous bills. We have to know where Mr. Ryan stood on each of those votes. We have to know Mr. Romney's position. And we have to know folks like Mr. Bilbray right here in San Diego and Mr. Issa. And I know that's a lot of research that it sounds like I'm giving you. But I have good news. Planned Parenthood has done the work for you. When I want to look at which candidates I should support, one of the first places that I go is to the Planned Parenthood Action Fund website. And here in San Diego, that's at voteforchoice.org. I'm told that it's right on front of my podium. Voteforchoice.org. You can find information on the records of the folks who are supposed to be representing you. You can find which candidates Planned Parenthood Action Fund has endorsed as being champions who will stand with women every day in office. And I have the pleasure and the honor of introducing you to one of those champions. Because you're not going to like what you find about Mr. Bilbray's record. You're going to find that he voted for each of those bills that I talked about. And instead, San Diego has the opportunity to elect a man who has shown that he will stand with women every day, that he will be a strong voice not only for choice, but for all aspects of women's health care. And that man is Scott Peters. Please welcome Scott Peters, the next congressman from the 52nd District.
All right. That better? Okay. Sandra, I want to thank Sandra Fluke for coming to San Diego, huh? Sandra did not plan to have this role to be called, to be drafted by Rush Limbaugh into this role, but hasn't she done a great job? Thank you. So I'm so happy to be here with Planned Parenthood today to stand with you. My wife, Lynn, was a member of the board for a long time. She was actually an escort during Operation Rescue. I don't know if you remember that. Some of those folks. Yeah, so she's very committed. If I didn't get 100 on my Planned Parenthood Action Fund scorecard, I might not be able to go home. So I did. I was happy to. I'm happy to have a very good record on that. Mr. Bilbray describes himself as pro-choice, and I want to just tell you a couple things about him. He got a 9 on that scorecard. All right, a 9. That's I think if you get in the 60s, that might be failing. But a 9 is really remarkable. If you think, I think they give you 5 points for writing your name. He's going to say he's pro-choice, but we're going to know better because the Planned Parenthood Action Fund is letting us know about Brian Bilbray's record. And what was the phrase you called that act about letting women die? The Let Women Die bill. Okay, he was for that. He was for defunding Planned Parenthood as part of the budget. He says he's pro-choice. He's got to explain all those pink shirts protesting at his office, right? So I just think it's really important. He's been redistricted into a district that's much more favorable for us. So he had a big registration advantage. Now that's gone. And he's trying to run from his Tea Party positions on everything from taxes to the environment to immigration to choice. He's trying to run to the middle. And he's got to have a lot of stamina because that's an awful long run for him. And I think he's getting tired. So I need your help. We can win this thing. We really feel good about our chances. And we feel like we are going to win. But we have 11 more days of hard work. And so I'm asking for your help. If you can come, do a shift on the phones, walk some neighborhoods. We got a big kickoff with a lot of the people you hear from on Sunday night at 6:30. Come out and help us. Let's tell folks, let's spread the word about who Brian Bilbray really is, because he's not that moderate he wants you to think he is. And let's make sure that this crazy talk about these battles that we won 30 years ago, that we end that. And we start talking about, let's just stand behind women's basic health care so we can talk about all those people who are hurting in the economy and get the economy moving again. This is a battle we won before. Apparently we're going to have to win it again, but let's send that message. Let's send it hard and let's win. Thank you.